In this video, we're going to look at rendering of partials. A partial is a partial form that is actually a subform and really isn't meant to be rendered on its own. Now, it's a little bit different than using layouts and such because a partial is expected to be part of a bigger layout that's coming in, where a layout wraps other complete things. And the distinction can be a little bit difficult to understand at times, but a partial has its place, and typically partials are used where you have a bit of code that's going to be used in multiple places, such as a standard form that you might call in a number of places, and you don't want to keep rewriting that stuff or have multiple places that you're going to have to deal with that. So following the dry principles, you have the partials that you're allowed to have. Now, in our case here, in our Movie Critic application, we have a render partial, and this is how the call actually works. The method is render, and then we're giving it a hash of partial, and the name of that partial is form. Now, the key thing to remember here is that Ruby on Rails is going to take that, and because you said it was a partial, it's going to modify this name and look for the name of underscore form.rhtml. So if we jump over to that particular RHTML file, you'll see that this is a complete little form. It's the guts of our form, actually, but it's not meant to stand alone. In some ways, it's almost like a little component that you can use within your particular different little views for this particular controller. So partials are a good way to follow the dry principle for things that you're going to constantly reuse. There's nothing to doing them. They're the same as RHTML files. It's just that when you want to go ahead and render them, you can render them using this command. Now, the interesting thing about partials is that you can actually have a partial rendered from a controller, which is a little bit different in that you're actually controlling it via your code inside your controller. So it's an interesting way to use Ruby on Rails. I encourage you to look at it a little bit further of what application it might have for you. It's a good way to dry up your RHTML views by using a render partial for things that are repeated often.